The new album from Green Day is finally here, and we have a lot to talk about. First, let's do a quick recap of all the insane things that happened around the band's last album, Father of All. When the cover for that album was released, we all kind of had the same thought that this album might be one big joke. We also had that infamous Green Day billboard, which again, we all kind of assumed was just one big joke. There were rumors that Green Day really didn't try with Father of All because it was going to be their last album on their current record label, and there were even rumors that Green Day was going to release an entirely new album just a few months after Father of All was released. And if you don't remember, there was an actual title for this album, the magnum opus of the Inglorious Kind. There were photos of vinyl records of the album, and there were actual songs that leaked. And it wasn't until a few months later that we all found out that the album title, the mock pictures of the vinyl, even the leaked songs were all because a band, Panicland, thought it would be funny, I guess. As far as I can tell, Panicland isn't a band anymore, so I hope it was all worth it. As far as the rumor that Green Day didn't really take Father of All seriously and they wanted it to be a joke, there's been no interview or any comments that I can find from anybody involved with Green Day that would suggest that to be true. So the only conclusion that we can make is that Green Day, for obvious reasons, did want Father of All to be a success, and whether it was the band or some marketing person, thought that that billboard was a great idea too. The only comments I could find where Green Day is talking about their record label was from a recent interview that Billie Joe did with Vulture. This is what he had to say. Our contract was up after Father of All, but we still had a good relationship with Warner. I've never really been mad at them about anything since we've been on there because honestly, all our records have been successful, 2 of them massively successful. I never wanted to be a band that was ever like, blame the record company, F that. I wanted to be the responsible one. So I hope that clears up everything about Father of All. I just wanted to have that in the beginning of the video to do a quick little recap because everything about Father of All is kind of insane when you step back and really look at everything, and we never really got answers about a lot of the rumors. I mean, we know that Panicland obviously did all that stuff as a joke, but, still the weird album cover, just the weird mess that album is, the billboard, the marketing, and all that stuff. But like I said, I just wanted to include like a quick little recap because a lot of that stuff was insane. But now let's get into Saviors. You've probably seen a lot of comments around Saviors that it's American Idiot 2.0 or it's Dookie 2.0 or it's, the last album in that kind of a trilogy. And if you're wondering, why is this even a thing? Why is this coming up? Green Day themselves, they were the ones that brought it up. This is from that same interview that Billie Joe did with Vulture. We had a large batch of songs that we recorded in London, and when we saw it come together, I remembered thinking, oh, this is the connection. Saviors does feel like a trifecta with Dookie and American Idiot, where it feels like a life's work. I went from not knowing what the hell I was doing to going, oh gosh, we managed to bridge the gap between those 2 huge albums. I do have to give a lot of credit to Green Day here. I mean, it takes guts when you're promoting your new album to compare it to your 2 best albums or 2 fan favorite albums in American Idiot and Dookie. And not only fan favorite albums, those are arguably 2 of the most important albums in punk rock history and pop punk history and in rock history. Definitely the most important albums, or at least American Idiot, of the last 23 years, without question. So again, kudos to Green Day for having the guts to be like, yeah, our new album is as good as our best work. The album begins with the song The American Dream Is Killing Me, and did you guys know that Green Day was a political band? Because, gosh, after all these years, who would have guessed? Just over my head the entire time. Green Day did get a lot of questions with Father of All, and even a little bit before that, about, why aren't you doing anything political, given the political complications of the time, I guess, let's say. And Green Day basically said, that'd be the easy thing to do and the obvious thing to do, so we didn't want to do that. So what came out of that was Father of All. But on Saviors, Green Day isn't shy about getting into politics. While not the direct attack at one political figure, Green Day on Saviors does dive into a lot of big issues, politics, of course, social media, TikTok, gun control, and media and news in general. I saw one comment that I have to address. They basically said that because Green Day in The American Dream is Killing Me references, and well, not even references, has the lyric, that TikTok that it's in there, that this would, date the song and it wouldn't hold up in the years to come, as if social media is going anywhere. I remember a lot of bands, the emo and pop punk bands in like the 2010s, or they were kind of the first bands in like the alternative music scene that were, referencing social media in their songs because they were, young at the time. So everybody was sliding in everybody's DMs and getting used to, social media and what this thing was. So naturally, it of course, something is that important to people's lives and pop culture. Of course, you're going to reference it in songs, right? And Green Day obviously does here in, in a negative way towards TikTok, which is fine. But I just saw that comment and I was like, if Nirvana, the Beatles, the Ramones, Black Flag, if social media was around when those bands were making music, they'd sing about TikTok too. Besides the songs where Green Day is talking about, really important and, major, world issues, Saviors also has a lot of fun pop punk songs. I love the aggressive, harsh vocals on Bobby Socks. I can't remember the last Green Day song that had harsh vocals like that. 1981 is the most Ramones core song that you could possibly make. It almost sounds like something Teenage Bottle Rocket would release. I think it's going to be 1981 is going to be a lot of people's favorite song on the album. I know I'm not the first person to say this, but One Eyed Bastard, that riff sounds incredibly similar to Pink's So What. I remember when I heard that song, I was like, this sounds like something, some song that I know. Something was clicking. At first I was like, God, did Green Day, is it some old Green Day riff that they're paying, themselves homage to? But then I saw it on Twitter and Reddit and everything that, it was Pink's So What. So now I can't listen to that song without thinking about Pink, which I may have just done to you, which I apologize for, I guess, now that I think about it. Father to a Son is the one big ballad, the slow song on the album, and I don't hate acoustic songs, especially on a punk album. I think it's really cool when you can have all these aggressive, really fast tracks and then, sprinkle in a nice acoustic a song here or there. But for me, it just doesn't really mesh with the rest of the album here. It almost feels like these bigger rock bands have it written into their contract that we can't all have 10 really, aggressive rock songs. We have to have one ballad slow song, and for me this just doesn't hit the mark. It's not a song that I've gone back to at all, and probably the most forgettable song on the album for me. Corvette Summer, on the other hand, sounds just like a classic rock song. It instantly reminded me of being in the back seat and my dad is driving us somewhere and he's listening to the local classic rock station. It's a song that should immediately be put into rotation on every classic rock station in the world. I think you're going to see a lot of people say that this album is a return to form for Green Day or some other similar music critic cliche, but in this case, I think that's true. That's a great way to sum up Saviors. Saviors, and I can't stress this enough, is better in every singular measurable way than Father of All. Saviors is a modern day major label pop punk or punk rock album that just sounds great. It doesn't have that gritty feel that is prevalent in a lot of punk records, but it doesn't have that, I don't even know how to describe it, that squeaky clean major label polished sound. Something like, this album doesn't have all those whoa-ohs that we all complained about with the Skiba era Blink-182 albums. Saviors doesn't have that polished major label robotic sound. It sounds exactly like a rock album in 2024 on a major label should sound like. And a lot of that is probably thanks to producer Rob Cavallo. He also produced on Green Day's American Idiot, Dookie, Nimrod, Insomniac, and not to mention The Black Parade too. I think the one thing that this album is missing is it doesn't have the song that you should check out. I think Blink's last album had the same thing, that the album was good, and just like here, Saviors is a good album, but it doesn't have that one song that you can tell a casual fan, hey, you need to listen to this brand new Green Day song, because we know honestly most people don't listen to full albums anymore. They're just going to listen to whatever is the top song on Spotify, or maybe, the song from Saviors that's in, like a new music playlist or new rock music playlist, or, really whatever music video pops up first on YouTube. If it wasn't obvious, I really like Saviors, but even I struggled with, what song would I pick if I had to show like a casual rock fan, hey, you can only listen to this one song from Saviors, like what would it be? I'd probably go with either 1981, Coma City, or Bobby Sox. Those are like the most catchy and most Green Day songs on the album. I also wanted to talk about that. I do think it is important that, we have Green Day, we have a brand new album from Green Day, and that they are talking about these, important, major, country and world issues. Because for a lot of people, a lot of casual music fans or casual rock fans, Saviors might be the only punk album or the only rock album that person listens to for like the whole year, or, even longer. So as a, punk rock music fan, I am happy that arguably, or probably, like the biggest punk band in the world, right? Green Day, is on their, new album talking about important topics, and, they have these messages in their albums. Because like I showed earlier, people in 2024 just realized that Green Day was a political band, at least some people. And even scarier, some people just now are realizing that Rage Against the Machine is a political band. So a lot of people don't dive into the lyrics or listen to like a full album. So it is important that, for punk fans, that we have the biggest band in the scene, right? Like I can't think of a bigger modern day punk band than Green Day, right? That, they have messages and, important, they're talking about important topics in their songs. It's just something I don't think we should take for granted. I was reading in some interviews that Green Day did for press around the album that they were kind of reflecting on their legacy and their kind of status in like modern music and in, rock and punk music history. They talk about, which something I've talked about on the channel too a lot before, is, why isn't rock music popular anymore? Why isn't it like, the boom period that rock music and like punk had in like, the late 90s or early 2000s. And it was just something I was thinking about throughout this, entire review that I was writing up and I was listening to the album, because a lot of those nostalgic bands from the like 90s or late 90s and that early 2000s kind of period, they're getting older. So it's really just a matter of time before those bands from that period release their last new music, right? Like Saviors could easily be the last Green Day album that we ever get. It could be the last new Green Day songs that we ever get. Like that is a possibility now. I don't really know where I was going with that, but it was just something that, was in my head constantly during this time. So a lot of those legacy bands, I feel like sometimes don't get their flowers, while they're, like an active band. So I think it is something that we have to, again, not really take for granted, because any day now, Green Day could, retire or, play one show a year and no longer like tour and stuff like that. So, and not just Green Day, it's a lot of bands in that period. So I don't really have a closing thought. It was just something that I kept thinking about when I was listening to the album. I really liked Saviors. It's the best Green Day album in years. A lot of fun, catchy, infectious, sing-along songs that get stuck in your head. A lot of the songs have a message. What more could you want from a Green Day album in 2024? What did you think about the brand new album from Green Day? Let me know down in the comments. Please like and share the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Check out the other videos on the channel. Tell all your friends, and thanks for watching.